Hello everyone, welcome to our Ixambee. As you all know, our NHB Assistant Manager preparation or revision series is on, and today we are going to look at descriptive English. But if you remember, in the last video we talked about 5 mantras related to good essay writing. Today we're going to look at some very important points related to letter writing. So here I'm going to show you, give you 5 points, 5 mantras that will help you to score very good marks when it comes to letter writing. Let's move on. So I'm sure you must be familiar with this by this time. So we are basically looking at the format, and if you see English language, we have letter writing and essay. So 25 marks in total, right? So, and if you look at the requirements of the descriptive test, the descriptive test wants to measure the English proficiency of the candidates. So you need to write good answers that will show you how proficient you are in your language. So we are looking at here, we are at 2 things. First, good language. Next, we are looking at content. Okay. So with this in mind, let's look at the 5 mantras that will help you to ace your letter writing. The first thing is the format. The letter is a very, very official document. So we have a formal letter and the informal letter. The examination, the test wants to see whether you can write proper letters of correspondence or not. Right? So therefore, it's very important you know the format of the formal letter and the informal letter, like the 2 sides of your palm. You should be familiar with every step, the structure, the spacing, the salutation, the subject. Everything you should be familiar with. Okay, now I get a very, very common question is that should we go for the letter, informal letter or the formal letter, right? So it depends on you. Wherever you think you have good content, you should go there. You should attempt that question. If you think letter writing, you have good content, you know how to tackle the questions, you will be able to answer the question, you will be able to handle it very well. Go ahead and write the formal letter if you are comfortable with the number 1. The content and the format. If you're not comfortable with the format, if you don't know the format, don't try to go for that type of letter. Okay. Next, the structure. Letter like essay should have a structure. So you should start off with the introduction, where you need to introduce the topic. You can start off with a greeting. You can start off with a sentence introducing the letter, introducing the topic, asking how is the person doing, or any other issue you need to introduce. Very, very brief, followed by the body. The body should deal exclusively with the question. Like essay, it is very important that you stick to the question and answer only what is required. The conclusion. Conclusion can be a request. It can be a request to expedite something. It can be request to get some issue addressed, or it just can be a normal conclusion where you want to meet the person sometime. You're going to meet the person sometime soon, like it happens in a friendly letter. So the letter should have a very, very specific structure: introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, if you have an issue with the spacing, because that is something students keep telling me that, ma'am, we don't have an option to change the spacing. What do you do? If you don't have that option to change the spacing and you cannot show 3 paragraphs, go to the next line and then leave some space. Press the space key, leave some space, and then start writing. So you don't need to leave space in between the paragraphs. The second paragraph, leave some space in the beginning of the line, and then you can start writing. So writing from the margin, leave some space and start writing. That way it becomes evident that you know that there are 3 strict divisions and you are leaving space for it. Okay, let's move on. of the question. This I will enunciate more when we discuss two-letter topics. Tone, yes. So you are maybe unhappy with the way the bank has dealt with an issue, and you are seeking redressal. You are writing a letter to the bank manager, telling him or her that you are not happy, you are upset, right? But that should not be reflected in the tone. Yes, it can be firm, it can be persuasive, it can be firm, but it cannot be rude, it cannot be impolite. Keep that in mind, right? Because sometimes it also sometimes becomes very threatening, like you are telling someone to make sure this affair is looked into it immediately, or I will take stern actions. No, that's not what you write. So the tone should be convincing, firm and convincing. Is that it should be evident that you are serious about the matter and you want it to be addressed ASAP. But it needs to be very, very polite. Okay? Let's move on. Language. As I said, this checks your proficiency in the language. Therefore, you must check for grammatical errors. Once you're done writing the letter, go through the letter and ensure that you have checked the possible typos, punctuation errors, errors in grammar, errors in construction, etc. Okay, let's move on. There you go. Formal letter format. Here is a quick view, right? So you start off with the address of the sender, name, address, place, date. Then you leave a space and then you go and see. Here I haven't given any space because I'm taking it for granted you might not have an option for spacing. So in that case, you have to just write it at one go. But look, address of the receiver, designation, company's name, and then that is the second part of the address. Okay, so address of the sender, address of the recipient. Next, we go on and start about the salutation. So you are addressing dear sir, ma'am, or it's an informal letter. You're addressing the person by his or her name, right? Next, you move on to the subject. The subject will talk about what exactly the letter is all about. So it's going to give it to you in brief what the letter is all about. So a request to, it can be a request, it can be drawing attention to some matter. So frame your subject very carefully. It should be crisp, it should be in one sentence telling us what the content, what the receiver can expect out of the letter. Then you leave a paragraph, or if you don't have that option, leave some space and start with the body. Then the conclusion, followed by the conclusion will include, after conclusion you finish up thanking you, yours faithfully, and your full name. Right? Let's move on. Same. Informal letter, but you don't have the address of the recipient. Salutation, but you also don't have the subject. Keep that in mind. Body, conclusion, followed by yours lovingly and the name. Okay? Now let's take a look at this letter writing. This question. Look at the first topic. So you are writing a letter to the branch manager, right? So the branch manager is the designation of a certain branch, where the branch is the address and the name of the person. You've got your recipient's details, right? Now, there are two parts to the content. First, you're requesting that person to block the credit card. Second, you're asking him to issue you a new card, right? Now, please understand, if you're requesting the bank to block your credit card, the details must be mentioned. You just cannot randomly ask the bank to block your report card. Details means under which circumstances you lost the card, what have you done about it? You need to file an FIR or a missing report, followed by the details of the credit card, name and details like that. That's the first part of the content. Next, you're requesting him to issue a new card. So please understand, you read the question and you see the information that is required. So your letter will come with the word limit. Try not to cross the word limit, but make sure you use that word limit to the fullest. Because you need to mention these details. If you are talking about the credit card and not giving the details, the bank will not do it. So understand, if you're not sure about it, go online and check letters related to some very, very technical affairs like issuing a new debit card, loss of a credit card, maybe an ATM fraud. These are areas where if you're writing a letter, there are certain information that needs to be mentioned. Find that out. Okay? So the next one is so easy. You're writing a letter to your friend is an informal letter. You want him to start a startup. So you can start off by maybe your friend is not happy with the work he or she is doing, and maybe the friend is not happy with the way things are progressing. He's not happy with his work and he wants to apply for a new job. So you're telling him that start your own startup. Okay? So it's a letter of advice also. Suggestion I will take it. Right? So this is the way you should frame your letter with specific introduction, body and conclusion. Make sure you've gone through the format carefully and check before you submit. Okay? I hope this video has been useful. You will use this information to write fantastic letters. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. We'll be back very soon.